Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Harvest Moon Farm. My name is Mickey. Today we're going to make some Crockpot Freezer Meals. This will give us a bunch of different options for easy dinners throughout the fall and winter. I can pull a bag out the night before, let it thaw in the fridge, throw it in the crock pot in the morning and let it go. And then I will have dinner ready or almost ready when I get home from work, and that will be so nice. So let me get my apron and some supplies and we'll get started. If this is your first time visiting my channel, my name is Mickey. I've had my channel for about 3 years and I do mostly cooking and baking right now. I previously lived on 15 acres of property and we had a huge garden. We had chickens and goats and ducks, and so I did lots of other things. Now I live in an apartment, and so we're pretty much limited to cooking and baking. So today we've got crockpot nacho chicken, cheesy chicken, potato and broccoli, orange chicken, honey garlic chicken, cilantro lime chicken, teriyaki chicken, you see a theme here, mostly chicken, and some sweet and sour pork chops. So the first thing I want to do is go ahead and chop all my veggies up that need to go into these different recipes, and then we'll do the chicken and pork chops last so we don't contaminate our board. So we are going to start with, we need a large green pepper. And we're just going to chop this up, and then I'll go ahead and put that in a bowl. So these crockpot meals, not only are they great to have in place for your meals, but they also come together pretty quickly. So I'm in the Kansas City area, and I don't know about you guys, but it has been unseasonably warm for a lot of this early fall. Tomorrow it's actually supposed to drop quite a bit. I think today it's supposed to be in the low 80s and tomorrow it's supposed to be in the mid 60s. So thank goodness. This whole week I think it's supposed to be cooler than it has been. I'm going with my oldest son and his family tomorrow to the pumpkin patch, so I'm glad it's not going to be hot. Alright, so we had one green pepper that we chopped up, and I'm going to go ahead and chop up some red pepper. I'm going to go ahead and cut up 2 of those. So I bought 2 packages of chicken. I'm not sure how much this is all going to use, so if we have some extras, if we have extra chicken, then I may go ahead and make up another bag or 2 depending on what I've got of one of these that I think I might enjoy the most. I love red bell pepper. Here's our red peppers. We need some carrots. And I bought baby carrots, but I am going to go ahead and cut them a little bit smaller. Maybe kind of in thirds. We need 2 cups of this. I can't remember if I already said that. But I'm going to go ahead and cut them all up. And then whatever's left I'll just use for something else. Alright, there's our carrots. We need 1 pound of red potatoes. So that's just these 4 little potatoes. Just over a pound. We want to slice those nice and thin. And it does not say whether or not to peel them, so I am not going to. I should just get out my mandolin, but since there's only 4 of them, I think it's easier to just, or it's just as easy to just slice them by hand. Okay, there's our potatoes. We'll give them a little rinse. And then we need 2 cups of chopped broccoli. And then one of the other recipes just calls for a veggie of my choice, so I'm going to go ahead and just chop up some extra broccoli. This broccoli here needs to really get used. Okay, I don't know if that's 4 cups. If it's not, I'll go ahead and chop up some of this other one when I'm ready to put things together. One of these recipes calls for a can of cream of chicken soup. I didn't buy any. I'm just going to make my own. And we're going to make extra so that I have some that I can put in my freezer. So we want to start with 12 tablespoons of butter, which is 1.5 sticks. I'm just going to chop it up and put it in my saucepan. And I'm only cutting it just because it'll melt faster that way. You don't have to cut it. Oops. All right, there is our 12 sticks. And we're going to melt this over medium heat. While our butter's melting, I'm going to go ahead and measure out 12 tablespoons of flour. I'll just put it in this bowl so that I'll have it all ready. So, got all my flour here. So this is very simple. I'm going to get another bowl and I'm going to go ahead and mix together our other seasonings that we're going to add. So we need a tablespoon of garlic powder and a tablespoon of onion powder. 1.5 teaspoons of salt. And 1.5 teaspoons of black pepper. And hopefully I have pepper. I was making some changes in my kitchen yesterday and I knocked my pepper jar off the shelf and it broke and pepper went everywhere. So I'll take some out of my shaker for now. I think I have a container in my pantry. If not, I'll have to get some. Our butter's almost melted. I've got one little piece in there. And then we're going to whisk in our flour and let that cook. Whoop. And I'll let this cook for about a minute or so. We want this to start turning a kind of a light brown. I'm going to move this off the heat just for a minute. Okay. Now we're going to whisk in 3 cups of milk. And then we're going to whisk in 3 cups of chicken broth. You want to whisk this as we pour. We want to stir. I'm dripping milk everywhere. We want to stir the whole time that we are putting our milk in here so that we don't end up with any lumps. I'll go ahead and measure out 3 cups of our chicken broth. And this is chicken broth that we probably canned together last year, or not last year, a couple years ago. Oh, yeah, a couple years ago, 2 years ago. So we're going to go ahead and whisk in our chicken broth. And now we're going to go ahead and add our garlic, onion, salt, and pepper. And we're going to go ahead and whisk that in as well. I'm going to make sure that we don't have any lumps in that. My garlic powder was some that I made several years ago from our onions, and so it was a little lumpy. Whoops. But it's whisking in pretty well. So now we want to cook this about 5 minutes. We want to stir it periodically so that it doesn't stick to the bottom and burn. But we want to just let this thicken up now. And this may take a little bit longer since I've 6 timesed this recipe. All right, this is starting to thicken up now. And of course it'll thicken up more once it cools. Okay, so this took about almost 15 minutes. I'm going to set this to the back for just a minute. A store-bought can of condensed soup is about 10 ounces. So I am going to pour about 10 ounces out of here. And so this will be what we use for our recipe. I'm just going to set it to the side. The rest of it I'm just going to leave in my pan for now. And I'm going to have to go downstairs and get, I think I might get like the 1.5 size jelly jars. I think that might be about perfect. Because the small jelly jar is only, well, I think it's 8 ounces if you fill it all the way to the top. But I think the 1.5 size will be perfect. So I'll go down and get those in a little bit. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and get my Ziploc bags ready. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the date, got my bags all every which way. I'm going to put the date, which is 10/18, oh my gosh, 10/18. I'm going to write the name, and then I'm going to write the instructions. Thaw overnight, low, 8 to 10 hours. So I'm just going to do that for all those, for each of our recipes, and then we'll start filling these. I'm so excited to try these. Some of them I've had before or something similar, but I don't think I've ever done them as a crock-pot recipe. So this will be interesting. I am going to do one of them. I'm not sure which one yet. I'm going to not freeze it today, and I'm going to cook it tomorrow. Since it's supposed to be cooler, I'm going to be at the pumpkin patch all day, so that will be perfect. And depending on which one I decide I'm going to cook for tomorrow, I might make a second bag of that one if I have enough chicken, so that I still have one in the freezer. Okay, so I'm going to use my little holder here to hold the bag for each recipe as I work on it. The first one is our nacho chicken. Oh my goodness. Okay, that is one chicken breast. That is, what kind of monster chicken is that? Holy cow. All right, each recipe normally calls for 2 to 4 chicken breasts. I'm just gonna do 2 because it's just me. And then that'll still be enough if my sister or somebody is over. This gigantic one, I'm just gonna cut in half because there's no reason for a chicken breast to be that big. Okay, so we're gonna add our 2 pieces of chicken. We're gonna add 1 can of Rotel. I have the original here. If you like yours spicier, you can use the, I don't remember what it's called. There's a mild and a hot maybe. And then 1 package of taco seasoning. So I have my own mixture here, and I'm gonna add 2 tablespoons. And you can always season things up more depending, to your taste or your family's taste. All right, so I've got a cookie tray here. What I'm going to do is, as I finish each bag, which for this one, that is all it is, very simple. We're gonna seal it up, squeeze the air out as much as possible, and kind of just mix all that stuff around. And then I'm gonna put it on this cookie tray as flat as I can get it. And then once I've got all of them done, I'll put them in my freezer, let them freeze solid, and then I can either stand them up in my freezer or they'll stack up very nicely. Okay, next one is our cheesy chicken, potato, and broccoli, which, yummy. This one also calls for 2 chicken breasts. And all I'm going to do is just cut the fat off. You don't need to chop these or cut them in smaller pieces or anything like that because they're going to cook in the crock pot. I am going to cut this in half though because it's a little bit big. Oops. All right, there's our chicken. We're going to add our green pepper. Two cups of broccoli. Our potatoes. And I had those covered with water just so they wouldn't start turning brown. A tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. I'm just gonna call that good. Quarter cup of parsley. You want to chop that up. Wait, yeah, that's parsley. Make sure I'm not putting cilantro in here when I mean to put parsley. We'll just chop this up. That's probably a 1/4 cup. And then we're going to add our cream soup that we made. I'm actually going to let that cool a little more, and we'll set this one to the side because the soup is still pretty hot, and I don't want to add hot soup on top of here when we are going to be freezing these. So this one I'm just going to set over here, and I think I'll go ahead and put the soup in the fridge. This one also calls for Velveeta cheese. You're going to use 4 ounces of Velveeta. We're not going to freeze that though with our other ingredients. The cheese will come after you've cooked it all day, and then you add the cheese, turn it up to high, let it cook about 5 minutes until your cheese is melted, stir it in, and then you can serve. Next is our orange chicken. I don't know where they found these chickens, but my goodness, they are very well endowed. So I'm going to use 1 single breast here because it is a ginormous piece of chicken. I'm going to cut it in half. To this, we're going to add 2 cups of carrots. Two cups of our red pepper. 3 cloves of garlic, and it does not say to do anything to them, so I'm just going to drop them in there. A teaspoon of salt. And a 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. And I just realized I think I've got more pepper in my downstairs storage, so I can go look for that if I run out. And then to this we're going to add 8 ounces of frozen orange juice concentrate. Whoa! Now the can I have is 12 ounces, so I'll probably just add all of it, but I forgot that I needed to use it, and so it is still frozen solid. I'll let it sit in a bowl of hot water until I can get it out. So we'll just set this one back here, and we'll move on to our honey garlic chicken. This one we need 2 to 4 chicken breasts, and like I said, I'm just going to use 2. And these are not nearly as ginormous as some of those I pulled out. So I'll go ahead and use the whole thing. Goodness, I hope I don't run out of chicken before I run out of recipes. That would be bad. To this we're going to add 3 cloves of garlic minced. 1 teaspoon of dried basil. We want to add a 1/2 cup of soy sauce. A 1/2 cup of ketchup. We're going to add 1/3 of a cup of honey. And 2 cups veggies of our choice. So So I'm going to add a cup of carrots, because that's about what this is. I'm just going to dump these in here. Whoops. And a cup of broccoli. Okay, so there is that one. And so we're going to seal it, squeezing out as much air as we can. We're going to smash it as flat as we can get it. And then we're going to lay it on our cookie tray with our other bag. Okay, next we've got our cilantro lime chicken. This is one, I've made something similar. Like I said, I've never made the crockpot version, but everything is about the same. All right, this one calls for a little more chicken, so I'm going to use 3 chicken breasts. That will leave me 2 for the last chicken recipe. But still, we want to go ahead and cut off our excess fat. Okay, here's our chicken. We're going to add a half a cup of chicken broth. So that was perfect. I had a half a cup, right at a half a cup left in that jar. Spilled olive oil on my hand. So we need a 1/4 cup of olive oil. So I'm going to have to buy some more. This is my last one here, and it's little. A 1/4 cup of lime juice. We're going to use 4 cloves of garlic, and we're just going to smash them. You can use 1 jalapeno, which I forgot. If you're going to use a jalapeno, you should seed it and chop it, and then you can adjust the amount of jalapeno or spice that you want to use to yours and your family's tastes. 2 teaspoons of cumin. 1 teaspoon of paprika. 1 teaspoon of salt. And 1 teaspoon of black pepper. Now, I went downstairs to get my soy sauce, and I did not find the pepper down there, so hopefully I get through all these recipes without running out. So that's all that goes in here. Now, once you have cooked this all day, then you're going to go ahead and shred your chicken just right inside your crockpot bowl. And then you're going to add, oops, that is not enough air out of there. Then you're going to add your cilantro to that and serve it. And you can serve it over rice. You can serve it as tacos with whatever other toppings that you like. Okay, here's our last of our chicken recipes, and this is our teriyaki chicken. So I've got the last 2 chicken breasts here. You can also use thighs if you prefer the thigh meat. I prefer breast meat, but also if I could get the thigh meat that was already deboned, then I would be fine with using thighs, but I don't like dealing with the bones. Okay, which I know that you can. I just have never seen it in my stores. I don't know if I have to go to like a specialty place, if I have to have them do it. I don't know. So this one doesn't actually give you any amounts. So the recipe ingredients are chicken breasts or thighs, teriyaki sauce, garlic, ginger, salt and peppers, green onion for garnish, and cooked rice or noodles for serving. So it does say make sure that you use enough of your teriyaki sauce to keep your chicken moist. So I'm going to add quite a bit. So I think I'm going to do 2 minced garlic, or 2 garlic minced, I guess I should say. Because these were kind of big. I have some ginger pucks that we made a couple years ago. It's basically just chopped up ginger and olive oil and salt and pepper. So I'm going to go light on it, and we can always adjust the seasonings when we cook it. So I'm going to do 3/4 teaspoon of salt, and 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. Okay, and then we just cook that on low. Once it's cooked, you can shred it if you want to, or you can leave it whole. And then you're going to serve it over rice or noodles, and you're going to garnish it with some green onion. So that one we probably could have used a much smaller bag, but that's okay. Let's lay it on top of the others. All right, let's go back to our orange chicken. Oh, well, that was dumb. Let's go back to our orange chicken, and I'm gonna squeeze out part of this. Oh, or most of this. It all came out, so it is what it is. Okay, so that was the last thing we needed in our orange chicken, was our orange juice. So I can go ahead and seal this one up, squeeze the air out. And then we'll lay it as flat as we can get it. Stack it up with our other bags. Okay, now we're going to go back to our chicken, potatoes, and broccoli. And our soup is pretty cool now, so I'm going to go ahead and pour it in. And we'll seal it up. And I just realized I didn't decide what I was going to make tomorrow. I think I'm going to do the orange chicken tomorrow. So I'm going to set this to the side because that one will just go in my fridge. Alrighty, last but not least, we're going to do our sweet and sour pork chops. So we want 6 whole pork chops. This will definitely be something that I'm going to have someone else come and eat with me. Oh, well, that's going to be the whole package. Okay. So it calls for 1 cup of sliced red pepper, but I have a cup that we chopped up, so we're going to use that. All right, I thought that somewhere in my fridge I had a 1/2 of an onion, but I must have used it. All right, so I did wash up my knife so that I'm not contaminating my onion. We need a half a cup of sliced sweet onion. All right, we're going to add that. 3/4 of a cup of ketchup. 1/4 cup of brown sugar. We want a teaspoon of ginger, so I'm just going to chop one of my pucks in half, and that's going to be close. And then we want a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. And then you can use some sriracha hot sauce if you like. I don't like, so I'm not going to add that. All right, so we're gonna put our tray down here. Oh my goodness, it's heavy. We're gonna slide those down there on that bottom tray there. And we're gonna let those freeze solid. Okay, so there's all of our recipes in our freezer. We've got everything ready and in the freezer. I've got the orange chicken set to the side. I'm gonna put it in my fridge because I'm gonna cook it tomorrow and we'll see how that goes. So I'm gonna clean up the mess that I've got here and then we'll take care of the rest of our cream of chicken soup. As I was cleaning up, I realized I forgot to add something to the sweet and sour pork. We needed 10 ounces of pineapple chunks. This is a 20-ounce can, that's all I have. So I'm just going to put about half of it in there. And then I'll just eat the other half. Okay, now our sweet and sour pork bag is ready. Can't believe I forgot those. I don't know how I skipped over that. I'm glad I had the can out so that I could see it and not forget about it again. That would have been disappointing. Uh-oh, now I can't get it to zip. There we go. Okay, so I'll go put this one back in the freezer now. Went down to my storage unit and I only found 2 of the bigger jelly jars. So my jelly jars must be in my big storage unit, which at the moment I can't find anything. So cleaning up that storage unit is actually going to be one of our projects here as soon as the weather cools off. As soon as the weather cools off enough that I can not sweat to death just moving things around, I'm going to go try and get that organized because my plan is to get it organized and then everything I got in my smaller unit move over to my bigger unit so everything is together and I'm only paying one monthly fee. So my jars were clean, but they've been in storage, so I'm going to go ahead and just give them a wash. Gonna use a funnel because if I don't, I'll have soup all over the place. So we're gonna do about, oops, zero that out. Come on. Okay, I'm not sure why this won't zero out. Let's just turn it off and back on. There we go. So we want about 10 ounces or pretty close to it. Now, see, these size jars would be perfect if I had all of them. Now, we are not going to can these. There is no safe method for home canning something like a cream soup. It's too thick, and our products do not get hot enough to make sure that it's killing anything that might kill us. I'm going to go ahead and wipe the soup off the edges just because it's cleaner that way. Anything that might have dripped on the outside. And then I'm just going to put these twist top lids on here. And we're going to put them in the freezer. And so when you do this, you do want to make sure that you leave enough space for them to expand as they freeze. So someplace I have some dissolvable labels. Let me go look. Okay, I did find the labels. So I am just going to write on them cream of chicken, October 2025, stick them on here, and that way I'll know what's in my freezer. Don't know which is the top and which is the bottom. I don't suppose it really matters. Good thing I'm the only one probably going to be reading this because my handwriting is terrible anymore. So now I'm just going to stick these labels on the jars, and we'll put them in the freezer, and then find a good spot for this one, and then we will have these cream soups whenever we want to use them. No preservatives, no additives. So now I've got 4 jars of the cream of chicken soup that I can use whenever I need it. I'll just need to take it out and thaw it. Thaw it enough, maybe even just to get it out of the jar, and then depending on what I'm cooking, I can just dump it in partly frozen. But this was made with chicken broth that I made myself from chickens that I grew myself. So there's no additives in here, nothing that we don't want to see in our food. So these are going to go in the freezer. I'm going to finish cleaning up, and then tomorrow we're going to start our orange chicken and let it cook while I'm at the pumpkin patch with my kids, and then we'll see how that tastes. Alright, it's the next morning, and we're going to go ahead and get our orange chicken in our crock pot. So here's our bag with our orange chicken we put together yesterday. All I'm going to do is, oh man, that smells good. All I'm going to do is dump this in my crock pot, put my lid on, and turn this on low. And we're just going to let this cook while I'm gone today with my kids at the pumpkin patch. When we get back tonight, then this should be ready. I'm just going to make up some rice. Either cut my chicken up or shred my chicken up, I'm not sure. And then we'll be ready to eat. So I'll be back later this afternoon. Okay, I am back. Oh, that smells so good. I'm back from the pumpkin patch. I made some rice. I'm going to put some rice, some chicken, and some of the veggies. This chicken is so tender. Let's take a bite. This is good. This is really good. Okay. So that's going to do it for this video. I want to thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. So now I've got 5 more chicken meals in the freezer and the pork chop meal that I can thaw overnight whenever I want to have one of these, throw them in the crock pot the next morning, let them cook, and then add rice or another vegetable or whatever I want to do, and I will have a nice healthy meal for my dinner. All right, so I look forward to seeing you guys on the next video. Bye guys.